Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm GhostPrime. So I want to take a look at the Transformers Collaborative GiJoe Megatron HISS Tank crossover. Now, I ordered this back in February of this year in 2022, and I was just a couple hours out of a major head surgery where I actually had to have part of my skull removed and put back. It was a huge surgery, and I was under for a long time. I was actually in the ICU, and I'm like, I got to pre-order this. And I was barely conscious, and it finally arrived today. Now, I've always really liked HISS, the HISS tank from GiJoe. I was also a GiJoe fan as a child. I don't have any GiJoes now, unfortunately, and I have very few things, maybe some arms and torsos left from when I was a kid that I hold on to for some reason. And I love Megatron. Megatron was my first Transformer. So seeing this, I was just like, I had to have it. I had to have it. I had to make sure it didn't sell out. So that's why I pre-ordered it. Now, this is the first crossover of GiJoe that they've done. There's another Bumblebee one coming. And I'll be honest, I hope it's not as much of a mess as this one.
They simply don't make terrorists like they used to.
And on that note, please subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit that thumbs up button. And ring the bell for notifications. And without any further ado, let's get to the review. So here we have the box. I actually really like this box design. It is open down the middle here and all the way around. So I think it slides open. I have not opened it, obviously. This is completely sealed. But the left side here looks like the Transformers Decepticon sort of, Generation 1 styling. And this looks like the GiJoe card backs and box backs of the original toys. Very cool way to do a box. I really like the logos and everything. And it's really, really, really well done. Let's see what we got on the bottom. Nothing, just a crossover there. And there's the top, which is the Megatron HISS tanks. Is GiJoe, does not say Transformers there, which is interesting. One side shows this Transformers HISS tank and the Baroness. The other side is GiJoe. That's kind of neat how one side Transformers, one side GiJoe. I like that. On the back, we have the two versions here, two mode GiJoe Transformers, again branded with their respective brands, and 28 steps. So let's get this guy open, let's see what's in the box, and get to the review. Okay, so let's slide these open. It looks like this is just an outer box. Looks like we got a kind of a Generation Select style here. So I do have a little damage on mine from shipping. So let's see. GiJoe, Megatron HISS tank, and then another, looks like there's a piece of tape on the side. Nope. Let's get that open. Let's see what we got. All right, it is big. There we have the Megatron, and I would assume under it, looks like it's got a bunch of parts forming. So let's see if I can get this out on camera. All right, and on the other side, oh, there we go. Let's see. Looks like instructions, and I can't get this. There's the Baroness. Looks like in the card on the back. All right, so I'm gonna get all this out of the package, and we'll take a look. All right, and getting them out of the package, I did take the big backpack part, and stick it on him. It does just snap on the back, so I don't really count that as an accessory. But he does come with his cannon, which is incredibly hollow. Now that's a theme with this one. This is incredibly hollow and not very detailed. Comes with two of these HISS cannons here. And he has the parts forming piece that goes on the back. And it is detailed on the back side of it. He has a set of instructions, kind of done in a retro styling as well. And taking a look at the Baroness card, this is very cool. It's just like the vintage one. Even has the old Hasbro logo on it. And on the back, it's multiple languages on the file card. It has a new image here for the Baroness with the HISS tank. And then you have the crossover logo right there, the collaborative. I think this is really cool. And it's really cool they included this with the card. Part of me wishes they hadn't, because it looks so good, I'm keeping it like that. Now, as I mentioned with these two pieces, They just go on the side right here. There are 2 holes here and here. So those go like that. And his cannon goes right there on the back of his fist, which is odd. I understand, because if they put it any higher, it would not have cleared the shoulder piece, but I think that looks weird. And this is supposed to go like on the other side, according to the directions. So he looks like that. And I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest. I don't like this look. I don't like the look of this. I wish there was a better spot to put that. You can stick it up here, but it looks equally as dumb. Okay, let's take this guy for a quick spin, so you just kind of get an idea of how he looks. Now, he looks okay from the front. His head sculpt is a pretty good head sculpt. It's exactly that Siege head sculpt, which I'll get into comparisons. But he has this massive backpack. I am glad that he does have these little heel pieces to hold him up, so he does stand okay. But I can't help but to detab that almost every time I pick him up. They could have put it hinges here and folded it down flat. Sure, it would have hung a little bit more, and he would have had some wings, but I think it would have been better than that. The only reason that they did that was so they could get a port up there, kind of a la Human Alliance, where a figure can fit in the top and man the cannons on his back, which I guess it's okay. He is incredibly hollow. Hollowness shows up here and behind the legs and in the middle of the thighs inside here. The only place, though, that it's really bad is in the thighs. This, I hate to say it, but it's excusable due to transformation. If they would have thought of a better transformation, maybe they could have avoided having massive, massive hollow parts. Let's get a little close-up on this guy. Here's a close-up look at the head sculpt. And so the sculpted detail in the chest. Now, it's very light detail. It's not super detailed. And the paintwork and the little yellow light is seeming to be under there. And he has his missile pods on the side, which I like. I don't mind. At least inside's not painted. I kind of wish it was, but at least the front has a lot of paint. And then he has his feet here without this painted at all. Okay, and it's time to get into some articulation for him. His head, I think it's on a ball joint. It can turn 360. He could look a little bit up, a little bit down. His shoulders can go all the way around. The shoulder pads come up, and his arms could go about that high. So we get in on the camera that high before they start to really hit onto that. He does have bicep, which is 360 and a mushroom peg, hollow inside there. 90 degrees at the elbow. No wrist swivel, which is a shame. No hands opening, which is a shame for the size and the price. No waist articulation, but he has ratchets on his legs that could get him to kick up about that far. And goes back pretty far. The knee has a much deeper bend and could actually go all the way down further than that. Due to transformation, he has thigh swivel to there and there. Super hollow. And nothing with the feet. Actually, nothing with the feet at all. They can't move. They are stationary feet. They couldn't figure out a way to get some ankle rockers in there with this guy. So his articulation is somewhat limited, especially by the kibble. It's also limited by the kibble, which should be said his hip skirts can move out and all the way around for posing. So that's pretty much what you could get with this guy. And yeah, I mean, it looks okay from the front. And on that note, let's do some comparisons. First up for comparison, here he is with the Siege, which I believe this is based off more or less. At least the head is and the overall general shape. Or I should maybe say the face is more appropriate. Let's see if I can get in here, and they are the same overall head sculpt. The face sculpt is exact. This one's not getting into focus, but you can see there and there. It's the same basic face sculpt. Different, of course, different paint on it, but yeah, that's the same face sculpt. Just so you get an idea how big this guy actually is. There he is with the animated Megatron, which in itself is a pretty big toy. So he's a big guy. He is pretty big. And there he is with Siege Jetfire. So yeah, you could really see just the size difference here. He's almost as big as Jetfire. Now this was originally $80. I believe the Commander class is now $90, and this was $100. But still, the engineering on this is nowhere near as good as this one. I'm not sure that those actually compare as far as the price is concerned. They may seem to be marking that up a little bit because of the Baroness figure and because it's Megatron. But that's how they compare. All right, and it's time to get into transformation for this guy. So first thing you want to do is to go ahead and take off his cannon there. And then, man, this thing. So you take the shoulders right here and you hinge that out and a little bit further. So it goes all the way out and around. And you take this top piece and it is on a, look like a pin there. And that goes all the way down around. And then just go ahead and just do that, close that back up. So you have the whole front of the HISS tank right there. You do the same on the other side. Like that. Go ahead and turn his arms, actually go ahead and turn his arms in towards the torso, and open these, untab these. So make sure that's untabbed at the back, untab these. And then since they're untabbed from here, take the torso piece, pull it up and forward and out. So you have this little kind of rocking sort of hinge here. And that just kind of hangs there for right now. You're going to want to just kind of take this whole thing apart and then put it all back together. It's really how this thing transforms. It's not like little pieces you kind of move around. So these pieces could go ahead and just move up like so. You have something like this. You could take the heels and just stick those in really at any time. Those don't belong out. Don't move the feet yet. Then take his legs here. Move those like this. And the whole waist piece comes untabbed. So if you can see that, move the camera down. Waist piece goes like this, and then he just kind of goes in. Don't do anything with this just yet. I know I'm moving the feet in, but that's just sort of, these knees are really tough joints. So go ahead and leave that like that. You can see it kind of coming together. So take this top piece here and just rotate this up like so. So you have the whole top of the HISS tank. And go ahead and move those around. So then what we're going to want to do is take these pieces here, the arms, move them around. So there's tabs and slots that, move these out of the way a little bit. These go, move like that. Go ahead and place them like so. And then you're going to tab those together and just kind of tab this whole thing together. If you line it all up, it will tab together. This whole thing is filled with tabs. So just tab in the front, tabs in the back, tabs on these pieces. And there, that's the whole front that's together. Arms are just kind of dangling in between the legs there. So there are 2 slots right there, and that corresponds to a tab right there on the leg. And you just go ahead and line the arms up, because the arms slot into here, and tab it on. And this is hard because the knees on this thing is ridiculously tight, so it's very hard to finagle this thing around. Go ahead and bend the arm in there as much as you can, kind of like that, and do that for the other side as well. It's okay if you don't get it directly in the slot right now. Just kind of get it close. There we go. There we go. So the arms are inside here, and these are connected in that slot. Then go ahead and push the feet in. So you have something that looks like this. Take these back treads here. So the back treads kind of move out and around like you would expect, right? So there are tabs on Megatron here that actually tab into here. So this tab goes into here, and these tabs right here snap into this part here and here. So you're going to want to go ahead and just do that to your best of your ability. Go ahead and get one side in. The other side, Megatron, kind of put that on. That side on. Megatron's on the other side. So we have something that looks like this. Getting there so far. Now this just basically comes down, but this is actually really difficult, especially on mine. And it's a pain in the ass because it keeps on coming off when I'm trying to put it on, and I have to like work it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until I get it just right. Which I'm gonna do off camera because it's a pain in the ass. So let's go ahead and move this whole piece kind of down. And then you'll see this tab right here go into that slot. And there's a tab that goes behind there. So just kind of gotta stick that in there. Make sure everything else, see, once something comes untabbed, the other thing comes untabbed. Do that for both sides. And now we have something that looks like this. Go ahead and take the back piece off and just slots in like so. And so that's pretty much the vehicle mode. So give me a second and I'll be right back with it all tightened up. All right, so I got them all tabbed together nicely. He does look great in this. I mean, it is a 2 scale as far as I'm aware. I don't have the original, but from what I understand, this is 2 scale HISS tank to the original toy. And it rolls on the little wheels decently enough. This being clear is, I think, different than the original, but it is opening and there is a full cockpit inside. That's incredibly awesome. This is where they decided to put the Megatron's cannon. I guess that's okay, but you could just take that off and set that aside. There's a 5mm port there. These you can take off, but they go on there. Baroness goes inside there. And this can rotate full 360 degrees, but I think it looks just really good. Let's get some of that detail on there. I mean, all the tampograph work, it looks good. Like all where the stickers would be on the original toy. It's like this. I put this together and I got it finally all together into HISS tank mode. I'm like, this is great. This is definitely in disguise as a HISS tank. That is the cool thing about this set, is that this is truly in disguise. It looks really, really good. Now for size comparison, I don't have the original HISS tank, unfortunately. I do have the Siege Megatron, just so you could get an idea of scale for this one. So you get an idea how big he is. He's a big boy. But this is the definite mode for this. Unfortunately, the only figure I have is Baroness, and I don't want to open Baroness. I like the vintage card back, and I think I might display this like this, or with Megatron and her, hang her up on the back, because I do like the card back. I like the whole retro thing. That looks cool, especially with the retro figure in there. Not that I think it's gonna be worth anything, but I do like the figure, and I think this is a great set in that regard. So just another real quick comparison. Here he is with Delta Magnus, so you get an idea there about just a little bit of size. So in conclusion, he's kind of a hard sell. He is not the greatest. Ton of kibble. They could have moved this and made this flattened down. They chose not to do that. The price point is also super high at $100. It's more like a $50, $60 figure in total, I would think. It's super hollow, not incredibly articulated, but he looks decent as Megatron from the front. It's okay. But the HISS tank is near perfect. And I think that's really where they are going for this. I really think this is more of a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover than the other way around. It's really heavy on the G.I. Joe, which I guess makes sense. If you had this on your shelf as in a G.I. Joe collection as another HISS tank, you could fool some people into thinking it was just another G.I. Joe vehicle. So I think in that regard, it's really successful. But as a Megatron, it's not as successful. I wish they would have found some better ways to do things, better engineering on it. It could have been better. So I can't really recommend this unless you're super into HISS tank GI Joes or super into Megatrons and have to have every Megatron for your collection. That's really the only way I think that this could be recommended in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, though, I appreciate you guys stopping by, listening to me and watching my videos. Subscribe again if you haven't subscribed, and I'll talk to you next time.